Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Edward Elgar. They're an independent publishers with an excellent track record of the higher level of discussion of detailed legal texts. And I'm looking at a particular area which is relevant to everybody today. The title of the book is Privacy and Legal Issues in Cloud Computing. Now, it's an area which I've become much more interested in. It's new to me, as it is to many other people, because until relatively recently I hadn't really got much idea about cloud computing at all. And so this book has come to us on the basis of something which is new and in need probably of urgent attention by many people, because at the moment we have a problem with the issue of privacy and the issue of freedom of expression within the Human Rights Act, here in the England and Wales jurisdiction in particular. But what we do have now is the issue of the availability of information and how safe, for instance, things like cloud computing really are. Now, this book, which we'll look at, has been edited by Anne S.Y. Cheung and Rolf H. Weber. I hope I've pronounced the names correctly. It's from Edward Elgar, and it's part of the Elgar Law, Technology and Society series of books. It's available as an eBook as well, and also at the Elgaronline side of their publications. My wife Elizabeth and I have given the title of our review of this book Compulsory for all web users to read as they take a new walk in the clouds. And I'll explain why. The image is a wonderful thing about walking in the clouds, but here we are. This is the book. Let's look at it first of all. There's the front, it's a hardback. There's the spine and then the back. Some useful quotes on the back. And you can see very quickly from the book, it's not a big book at all. It runs to 300 pages. There's an index at the back. I found it very interesting to actually look at. The book itself has got quite a lot of footnotes. You can see at the bottom there, going back and working forward. There isn't paragraph numbering, but there are subheadings and they're numbered. Again, you can see a lot of footnoting. If we go to the front of the book, let me just start it off. This is the series, the Elgar Law, Technology and Society series mentioned there. You've then got the front page of the book there. There's just a few books in this series at the moment. That gives you the information about Elgaronline. Then you get the various contents. As it's been edited by two people, there are obviously a lot of people involved who are contributors. And I'll just show you their names. There's about the main editors there. Then you've got the contributors mentioned here. I can't go through all their names, but they are all highly important people within this area. They're very experienced people. The preface is worth reading. That gave me some idea of where we're going at the moment with this. And then the introduction, which Anne and Rolf have produced, A Walk in the Clouds, which is talking about where we're going at the moment with cloud computing. It starts off, cloud computing is fast becoming an integral part of daily life, with people's activities in the physical world or on personal computers increasingly moving to web-based services up in the clouds. Now, that is exactly what is happening at the moment. Every time they go on strike, more people use the cloud. So you can see the problems and the difficulties. Here we go. You've got, for example, there's one chapter, chapter 4, repersonalizing personal data in the cloud. And again, you can see a lot of detail to back up the points that are being made. It's an important area. There is, again, quite a useful structure to each of the chapters that you've got. You don't actually have conclusions with every chapter, but most of them have a conclusion of some sort to the points that they're actually making. There's a little bit of case law referred to as well. I found it a very interesting book. It's not the first book I've seen about cloud computing law and the issue of privacy and where we're going at the moment, because I have to say I think there's a lot of confusion about what is happening. I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of the way the cloud operates. Most people are terrified about unauthorized access to the cloud because it's so much easier than going and getting someone else's briefcase with all the documents in and opening up and having a good look. You can see why it's a problem and why a lot of people from the highest judiciary in this country down are worried about how much access should be given to the cloud and how much by way of sensitive documentation and data should be stored. Those are issues which we've got to look at, and I think we're just beginning now in the early part of this century to look at how we deal with our business in future, because there are going to have to be international decisions at some stage. We haven't got there yet. Let's look at the book though today. Recording this towards it's the summer of 2015, and it's an interesting discussion point as we have a new government in the United Kingdom, and these issues will be looked at, I'm sure, between now and 2020. This is what we say. Professors Cheung and Weber examine with a team of contributors what they term emerging and innovative attempts to tackle privacy and the developing legal issues in cloud computing, which include such issues of the moment as personal data privacy, IP protection and security, just to name a couple. Those, of course, are the big issues for us. The importance of the subject today cannot be underestimated because, as Michael A Geist from the University of Ottawa explains on the back of the book in a quote, cloud computing provides the foundation for the myriad of network systems that millions of internet users rely upon every day. Now that's something which, when I read it, I hadn't actually thought that it was as important as that and as dramatic as that, but it is. And that's one of the reasons why I think this book is of great importance to anybody who uses the cloud in any particular way. The authors also point out that the cloud allows us to access our documents, photos and video files from anywhere in the world. And that also includes space, because again, people in the International Space Station obviously have access to technology as everybody else does. And you can think, even in the space of say 10 to 15 years from now, the changes which are going to take place. We've seen a huge change in the 15 years since 2000. So just think of what will be happening by 2030 and what you might envisage as the sort of approaches we will be adopting when most of our data will probably be held on the cloud. The book, which we're reviewing here, comes from Edward Elgar, and it's part, as I say, of the Elgar Law, Technology and Society series. And it's edited by, as a volume, by 15 contributors individually. So they are experts, and I've found the information they're imparting to be of great help, I think, to us in trying to understand what we're going to be facing in the next few years. The origins of the book lie in the academic conference, Up in the Cloud, Legal and Privacy Challenges in Cloud Computing, which was held by the Faculty of Law at the University of Hong Kong in July 2013. And it's useful to know that because a lot of the books we are getting at the moment are the result of a conference where discussion has taken place, and this is the end product, if you like, by the rapporteurs of what has been happening and where we're going forward, because a lot of this now is very much international and it's going to get more complex as the decade progresses. Let me conclude by saying this, that academic lawyers are extremely lucky, we think, to have this new work on the complex legal and privacy challenges which have been brought about by the rapidly evolving cloud computer technology. To most of us, it's a relatively new area of study and will be welcomed, we think, by a wide range of readers who are taking a new walk in the clouds. And the law is as stated in 2015. Now, I can't overstate the fact that the issue of privacy and the issue of the legal issues dealing with cloud computing are really, to my mind, quite in their infancy. There's the front of the book and there's the back of the book there with some of the comments that are made. Now, when you look at the book and you look at the titles of some of the chapters, you can see what we're talking about. There is the chapter contents, Introduction to Cloud Computing, there's the introduction, data protection, legal safeguards, personal data, cross-border data, jurisdiction, information in the cloud, copyright, global distribution, things that get lost, the genomic cloud computing issues and practical aspects of licensing. Now you can see from that a wide range effectively of IP related and possibly human rights related issues come into this to a certain extent, because it is about protection, legal safeguards for cloud computing. A big area. We're looking at the moment of thinking of trying to put government documents of various sorts on the cloud in a much bigger way than we've done before. Certainly in local government that's happening, but I would envisage a lot more of this taking place in the next 5 years alone. So this book is very much a pathfinder, if you like. It's setting the ideas for the future in print, and I'd like to thank everybody for at least raising the consciousness of myself and other people to what I think is going to be a difficult subject to deal with in the future. Thank you anyway to Elgar for doing this, and I'm sure there are going to be further books in this series to complement what we have and what I've reviewed today. Thank you to all anyway. Bye bye.